Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify the mechanics behind how habits actually form. We'll be breaking down the incredibly actionable frameworks found in James Clear's foundational work, Atomic Habits. If you have ever struggled to stick to a new routine, or maybe break a bad one, like those New Year's resolutions we all completely abandoned by mid-February, well, the source material we're looking at today flips all that traditional advice totally on its head.
Get this, let's start with a seriously mind-blowing calculation to hook you. The author introduces a concept called the aggregation of marginal gains. Think about the sheer mathematical power of getting just 1% better each day. It doesn't sound like much, right? But if you can manage a tiny 1% improvement daily for a single year, those marginal gains aggregate, and you end up exactly 37 times better by the end of it. On the flip side, if you get 1% worse daily, you decline nearly all the way to zero. It just goes to show that small habits don't merely add up, they literally compound.
To help you master this compounding effect, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, the paradigm shift. 2, Law 1, make it obvious. 3, Law 2, make it attractive. 4, Law 3, make it easy. 5, Law 4, make it satisfying. And 6, the compounding effect. All right, Section 1, systems over arbitrary goals. Let's dive right in and shatter absolutely the biggest myth in personal development, which is this total obsession with setting massive overnight goals. Most people fail to change their lives simply because they're trying to make giant leaps all at once. Here is a core truth about achievement. Winners and losers actually share the exact same goals. Think about it. Every single Olympian wants the gold medal. Every candidate wants the job. So the goal itself cannot be what differentiates them. Goals are just about the results you want to achieve, while systems are about the actual processes that lead to those results. It's the underlying system, those gears turning behind the scenes, that truly separates the winners from everyone else. Honestly, you need to forget about goals and pour all your energy into your systems instead. And that systems approach brings us to a real game changer of a quote. True behavior change is identity change. Instead of fixating on what you want to achieve, the source material argues you have to focus on who you wish to become. For example, don't just set a goal to read a book, focus on becoming a reader. When your habits become a core part of your identity, you aren't even forcing yourself to act anymore. You're just acting in alignment with who you already are. Moving on to Section 2, Law 1, make it obvious. Now that we're firmly focused on systems and identity, let's open up our toolkit for building those systems, starting with the very first stage of any habit loop. The cue. So every single habit is initiated by a cue in your environment, but you can actively hack your environment to build good habits by using what's called an implementation intention. It's a literal formula. By explicitly stating, Step 1, I will perform this behavior. Step 2, at this specific time. Step 3, in this exact location, you are programming your brain for success. It completely removes the ambiguity of saying, oh, I'll work out sometime today, and replaces it with a specific, glaringly obvious trigger. The really crucial point here is that this law works in both directions. If you want to build a good habit, you make the cue obvious. But what if you want to break a bad habit, like constantly wasting time scrolling on your phone? You simply invert the rule, make it invisible. Rearrange your environment so the cues for your bad habits are totally hidden. Literally, leave the device in another room while you work. Out of sight genuinely equals out of mind. Okay, Section 3, Law 2, make it attractive. Let's move to the second step of the habit loop, which is the craving stage. Cravings are the motivational engine behind every single habit, because without a desire to change, we simply have no reason to act. Habits are essentially a dopamine-driven feedback loop. And here's the fascinating part about dopamine. It's released not just when you experience pleasure, but when you anticipate it. Because dopamine drives that anticipation, you can make hard things irresistible through a strategy called temptation bundling. This is where you link an action you want to do with an action you need to do. For example, tell yourself you can only listen to your favorite true crime podcast, The Want, while walking on the treadmill, The Need. You're making a tough habit highly attractive by pairing it directly with an immediate reward. Plus, humans are just deeply social creatures. We naturally adopt the habits of our culture and surroundings to fit in. Specifically, we tend to imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, the many, and the powerful. So an incredibly effective way to make good habits attractive is to just join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Want to read more? Join a book club. Your environment will naturally pull you right toward that habit. And once again, we can invert this to break a bad habit. If building a habit requires making it attractive, well, breaking one requires making it deeply unattractive. You do this by deliberately reframing your mindset to highlight all the negative benefits of that behavior. You actively associate the bad habit with a loss of health, time, or money, which helps override the craving in the first place.
Section 4. Law 3. Make it easy. Next, we arrive at the actual response stage, the habit itself. This law leverages a fundamental truth about human nature. We naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the absolute least amount of work. It's known as the law of least effort.
But before we make it easy, we really need to address a trap so many of us fall into. We often get stuck in what the author calls motion instead of actually taking action. Motion is all that planning, strategizing, and learning. Action is the behavior that will actually deliver the outcome. We get stuck in motion because it feels like progress, right? But it carries zero risk of failure. Spending hours researching diets is motion. Eating a healthy meal is action.
To force yourself out of motion and reduce the friction of actually doing the thing, use the 2-minute rule. When starting a new habit, it must take less than 2 minutes to complete. It's all about creating a gateway habit. You turn a massive, intimidating hurdle like running 3 miles into simply tying my running shoes. You turn reading before bed into reading 1 single page. You master the art of showing up first, which makes it impossibly easy to just start.
The inversion here is absolutely brilliant for destructive behaviors. Make your bad habits difficult by jacking up the friction. If you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on weekends, use a commitment device. Hand your social media passwords over to a friend on Friday night and tell them under no circumstances to give them back until Monday morning, no matter how much you beg. You've made the bad habit physically difficult to perform.
All right, Section 5. Law 4. Make it satisfying. Finally, while the first 3 laws increase the odds that a behavior will happen this time, we need to ensure it's actually repeated next time. This brings us to the reward stage. You see, our human brains evolved in an immediate return environment. We always prioritize immediate rewards over delayed ones. The problem is, bad habits usually offer immediate pleasure but delayed pain, while good habits offer immediate pain but delayed pleasure.
To bridge that gap and maintain a good habit, you need to feel an immediate sense of success. Using a visual habit tracker gives you that quick hit of satisfaction. Visually checking off your progress creates a tangible, immediate reward. But look, life happens and streaks inevitably break. When they do, you must adhere to the absolute golden rule of habit tracking. Never miss twice. If you miss one day, you force yourself back on track the very next day, preventing a tiny slip-up from snowballing into a brand new bad habit.
To invert this for bad habits, you must make the behavior immediately unsatisfying. Make it sting a little. The best way to do this is to create an immediate, painful consequence by setting up a habit contract with an accountability partner. Knowing that someone is actively watching you and that you might actually have to cough up $50 to them if you skip a workout makes the bad habit of being lazy highly unappealing right in that moment.
And finally, Section 6, the compounding effect. Let's bring this whole thing together and see how it builds into the ultimate payoff of the Atomic Habits framework. Because the secret to massive results isn't doing one giant thing perfectly. This matrix right here serves as the ultimate cheat sheet for the source material. It's your complete, actionable toolkit for engineering both your environment and your behavior. If a good habit isn't sticking, just ask yourself, is it obvious? Is it attractive? Is it easy? Is it satisfying? And if you just can't shake a bad one, ask, have I made it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying? The whole shebang comes down to maintaining a system of small, continuous adjustments using these 4 laws.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to really reflect on today. We've learned that arbitrary goals don't change you. Systems do, and those systems are built on tiny atomic actions. Knowing that real change comes from hundreds of small daily decisions, who are your current habits helping you become? Take a hard, honest look at your daily routines, because remember, small habits don't just add up, they compound over a lifetime. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you can put these laws into practice today.